Hello, welcome to another video about my experience with doing some CS50 courses. And today I'm going to be talking about CS50T, which I've just completed, and how I found it, and a few pointers if you're thinking about taking the course, related to the basic structure of it, and I suppose what to expect. But before I do that, I thought what I would do by way of a sort of better understanding is just explain a little bit about the CS50 sort of suite of courses. These are all available on edX. They're provided by HarvardX, so they're all Harvard courses. Originally, I was aware of this one, which is now called, I believe, CS50X. I think it was just called CS50, Introduction to Computer Science. Since then, since I became aware of it about 2 or 3 years ago, or however long it's been running, I became aware of all of these quite recently, I would say in the last, couple of months. So I thought as a project, and also as well, both as a to help others, but also just for my own ongoing professional development, whatever you want to call it, continual learning, I suppose, more than anything. I fancied taking some of these other courses under the banner. I haven't yet attempted CS50, and that's something I plan on doing, but I wanted to go in a little bit as though I was a complete beginner. And that could be quite difficult because obviously my experience is going to be different than someone else has been doing that. But just at the start of this video, I just explain which ones I've done already. So I did a previous video on CS50 Python, which I've completed that, and that's all passed. And I've completed this one, which is what this video is about, CS50 Technology. So this one for me really called out that this was the entry course for people who don't yet consider themselves computer persons, and just doing it and then looking at what the other ones purport to do, bearing in mind that currently I've only gone all the way through CS50 Python, but just looking at the descriptions, looking at what's included in the courses, I would definitely say this is, the ground level entry course to start with. And then what I'm hoping to do is in a future video, once I've done a few more of these, I'm going to go through and probably offer a sort of various pathway through once I've got familiar with some of these. The thing I'm planning on doing next is possibly this and then this. The reason why is because I'm curious about it, because it's a top-down approach rather than a bottom-up. And also I know my wife's curious about the content of this one. So I'll probably be doing the CS50 business one, and then CS50X, and then all these other ones which assume that you've done CS50X. So there's an AI one where that's the case. I don't know about the gaming one yet. I might just do that because I'm just curious. And then what else here? Oh, the web programming one. Although I do already have a web programming certificate, it would be interesting to explore this, which is something I'm not familiar with. Other things that I mentioned here, I am more familiar with: Python, JavaScript, SQL. It's probably about time I did a refresher in SQL as well, although this appears to not require any prerequisites. But I think once I've done the business one, I'll dive straight in. I'm not going to do any other sort of preparatory courses, and then I'll probably circle back once I've done these assumption ones, and I may well decide after I've done CS50X to do this SQL one before I say attempt this one. But I am probably quite keen to do this one, the AI one, after I've done CS50. Again, some of this I probably would have covered in a data analysis course I did with Microsoft, I think in 2017. But it'll be interesting to revisit through the lens of AI as opposed to through the lens of data science. But I suspect there'll be a lot of overlap. Anyway, back to what this video is really about, which is talking about CS50T, or CS50's Understanding Technology, whatever you want to refer it to. So this is really the entry phase. So I'm on edX at the moment. Once you've enrolled on the course, this is basically what you get if you go in at the top level on the course. When you first enroll on the course, what's cool is that page I just brought up in Notepad is what you see, which is, I think, really good for the entry level course. I don't remember seeing it when I did the Python one, but it was cool to see it for this one. So that, it indicates to me that this CS50T is the one to start off if you have no prior knowledge. Has 6 units in it, and at the moment we're still in edX, so let me just click on these so you can just see again the components. So we've got this part here and then this part here. So there's 2 parts to it. Here they normally have all the links to all the notes and everything, including a link to the lecture, and here they have a video for the lecture, and you just next through it. So as you complete these, you can next through. So you've got a unit on multimedia, same sort of layout. One on security, same sort of layout. One on web development, same thing. One on programming, same thing. So let's loop back to the hardware and dig a bit deeper. So in the hardware one, if you click on anything here, most of the things here, I think if you hover over them, you can probably see that many of them jump out to specific CS50 resources that are actually hosted on the Harvard servers. Okay, so they jump out. So this is similar to what happens if you've done CS50P, same sort of setup. That's what the page for the videos look like, is this sort of mini window, which you can expand out. There's also the transcripts here as well, and you can download the video file, which is really handy. If you click on any of these previous links to say jump out, this is what to sort of expect. So if you go to the lecture, for instance, you'll find you're on this internal, well, it's video.cs50.io. So it's a sort of, looks to me like a YouTube embed here, but it's branded up, and there's certain other things here. So my point is that the resources are available, or links to the resources are available both from edX, and as you'll see in a moment once you get into the Harvard side of things, but a lot of the resources are hosted on Harvard servers, just in case you're curious. So for instance, once you go down one of these links here, you invariably end up here, and of course you can navigate the course 100% through here without actually going back to edX if you don't want to. And often what I would do is just save these as links, and as long as you're logged in to edX, you got it set up to keep you logged in or whatever, you shouldn't have any trouble. You can see here again there's all the components just arranged slightly differently. When you first come in, this is collapsed out of the way, and there's the assignment part. If you're curious, so here I won't go into the slides or the transcripts, but the notes, that's what these look like, and they run in parallel with the video. So obviously the things they're talking about in the video are in the notes, but it's worth looking at the transcript as well when you've come to do the assignment. That's really helpful, because not everything they say is necessarily summarized here. Everything's covered in terms of the subject areas, but it's obviously a summary, so the transcript's a little bit more granular. But all the classic stuff is covered in here. So this is like the first one, the hardware one. course, the great thing with this is you can just go to the edX site and enroll and kick the tires on it, because I think the cut-off date on the course is like 6 months from the start. Here's the assignment page. You'll notice there's a link here, so when you click on that you just get taken here, and then if you actually click on this link you get taken here. So at the top here, if I was to scroll up, it would have all my, so this is Google Forms they're using, so this is different than if you've done CS50P or you've seen my CS50P site. Yeah, if you've seen, sorry, my video, if you've seen that, you'll know I mentioned about it using an online instance of Visual Studio, and I think there was one instance where it used a Google form. What this course does is a lot of it is using Google form, and at the top, you know, you've got the whatever username you've chosen to use to submit the Google forms. You've got a place where you have to put in your edX username. You do need to have GitHub. You do need to have a GitHub account for various reasons. But yeah, this won't work. You can't submit without a GitHub account. And then when you go down, if you scroll down here, you can see city, state, country, and then it actually gets into the questions. There's a couple of acknowledgements you have to tick just to understand situation, zero tolerance, plagiarism thing, and then sometimes there's a feedback question, and then the actual assess components here. So there you go. It's out of 10, so invariably there's 10 questions, but you'll see in a moment that's not always the case. So the first 4 units out of the 6 are very similar in terms of the assignment. When you get on to 5 and 6, there's a web development one, and there is a programming one. So from the outside, you know, same format, but it's when you get into the assignments, the layout's slightly different. So the first bit, same thing. There's a plagiarism confirmation. There's a few regular questions, and then you have a HTML CSS challenge. And in order to do this, you have to set up something on Replit. However, you can log in using your GitHub account, which is what I did. And then everything's also synced up as well. So there's instructions on how to fork the basic starting project, and then instructions on how to submit, and so on. Just a few confirmations, you know, have you tested your site? And then there's some feedback questions down the bottom as well. And then the 6th week is so that was a web assignment for HTML, CSS. This one is programming. It uses Scratch. You have to set up a Scratch account on MIT. I didn't have a Scratch account, so I had to set that up. Not very difficult, but again, something else you have to do. And then there's a requirement about how to do it. And again, some other questions as well to go alongside with that. So normally the programming component is, I think, 4 points here, and the previous one was it 5 points? Oh, there you go, yeah, 5 points. And you submit the link basically, and there's instructions to make sure it's accessible and all sorts of stuff like that. And then finally, when you finished it, and I don't know if I mentioned at the start of the video, but I actually reshot this video. So I submitted all of my work. I got confirmation emails that it had gone through, but I did read the instructions every time you do submissions, and it does warn you, because this is the mechanism by which these are assessed. It can take up to 3 weeks. Now, I was quite impressed by the turnaround. Having done the CS50P, which is all done cleverly through various scripts and other things, your assessments on the assignments are done instantaneously. With this, I thought, well, worst case scenario, I'm going to wait 3 weeks, so I'll just do the video. So I actually shot the video, and then I think it was on the Saturday, and then the Monday, the day before when I'm shooting this one, I got all my results simultaneously on all the units. And so now this progress page, this course book, is now complete. I've completed the course. Again, really usefully, you can click here and get a certificate directly from Harvard. And all you have to do when you get to the page, I won't do it because I've already completed it. You fill in what name, how you want to be named on the certificate, and then it generates a certificate for you, and you can go download it, go back, look at it again. But when you click on this after you've met all the requirements, it'll say if the certificate is there, and if it isn't, then you just have to check to see if you're missing something. And you're good to go. Certificate generated. So in terms of how long this took me, so bear in mind, I am in a good position in terms of how I can spend my time. But what I've currently been doing on mainly Tuesday through to Thursday is allocating the hours between 11 o'clock in the morning and 5 to work focused on a single thing, like a project or a course or something like that. And that's what I did with this. So, realistically, take all the videos are an hour long. I would say if you were super focused and you didn't do like I do, which is I always go off down these rabbit holes and go, oh, that's really interesting, I should take a look at that again, or review stuff. Just helps with the learning. For 4 out of the 6 of the first 4, I could probably have done, so I spent an hour watching the video and then an hour doing the assignment, maybe even less than that. But it was around an hour or so doing the assignment. When I got onto the last 2, the web development and programming, that took a lot longer because, of course, there's all the coding and the debugging and the fiddling around, coming up with ideas, stuff like that. So what actually ended up happening was that on, I think, day 1, so that was on the Tuesday, I took my time and just did the hardware one, and then actually went off and durdled around with something else for a while. So not necessarily very focused that day. So I spent, just over a couple of hours on it. But based on that, then day 2, I did these 2 back to back on the same day, between like 11 and 5. I think that's right. Then I got a bit cocky and thought, oh yeah, I probably can stack the remaining up. So Tuesday did this, Wednesday did this, Thursday thought, oh yeah, maybe I'll go through, do this all on Thursday, without properly realizing what was in the assignment. And as a consequence, went through this in the morning into just after lunch, and then started this, and obviously had to spend a lot more time on the actual coding component. So what I ended up doing is on the Friday I finished this up, and then spent the afternoon, really, because I did have some stuff to do in the morning on Friday. So when I normally phone my folks back home, I spent the rest of Friday afternoon working on this and submitting it all. So it was basically Tuesday to Friday. So over four days. If I got my stuff together on day 1 and stacked these up a bit better, I probably could have got it done in 3 days of doing 11 to 5. So again, just as a yardstick. But like I said, you get 6 months to do this. And I think, obviously it's designed to do 1 unit a week. And it says something like between 2 to 6 hours. So yeah, an hour to watch the video and an hour to do the assignment at the very minimum. But these last two, a lot longer. So did it all. Like I said, shot the first video on the Saturday, and then on the Monday in the afternoon, I got all my my scores through, all my results, passed everything. I think there were a couple where I got 9 out of 10 on. Funnily enough, I was expecting it on these two to maybe drop a mark somewhere. Actually, funnily enough, it actually did turn out as where I thought I would drop the mark was on the programming, because we were using Scratch, and I must admit I just wrote to spec. I didn't go over the top. So when you do that, there's always a danger that if you don't go the extra mile, you're probably going to inadvertently miss out on something. So I think I dropped a mark on this, and funny enough, was it the first unit on the hardware? But there was one question on there where I was sort of umming and ahhing over the answer. So it's quite possible. You'll notice on some of the answers, if you type too much, it does say actually you've, only typed so many words. So it's normally a giveaway if some of them are just very short answers, as opposed to some of the questions are a bit more long form. But you can work out from what it's asking whether that's the case. But a couple of times I was typing in this long answer, and then it sort of stopped after about the 20th character and said, no, you don't need that many characters. So it was just a succinct answer. And there was a couple of questions like that where I couldn't tell whether they just wanted a succinct answer. There was one like that on security, which I thought might be a problem. I wasn't quite sure what they were asking for, but when I worked it out, the actual answer, it became clear what they were looking for. So, yeah. So I enjoyed doing it. It was fun to revisit all of this, actually. The only thing I hadn't done is I hadn't programmed in Scratch. And like I said, I did dial back my aspirations on that, because I was really just interested in getting through the course, the look and feel of it, with the purpose of just doing a what is it like video. And I wouldn't have normally taken this course for any other reason, apart from just kicking the tires on it. So I decided to adopt a business approach with my programming, and just do what was required of me. And probably I should have spent a bit longer doing a few clever things in Scratch, and that's probably where I lost the mark, I think. So anyway, that's my I wouldn't like to call it an evaluation as such, but should give you some idea of what the course is like. If you fit the criteria of somebody that doesn't yet consider themselves a computer person, I'd definitely do it. I mean, it's not going to do you any harm. The certificate didn't cost me anything. I didn't have to do this because the certificate came from HarvardX. You just have to negotiate the bit at the end. It's not quite clear, but if you read all the links, you'll work out how to get through and get that free certificate. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and watch out for future videos about the CS50 courses.